in a jet trainer for 3 years. And then I went to C-130s, and I flew C-130s at various bases around the country and world. Training at Little Rock, Abilene, Texas, Alaska, back to Texas, and then I did several assignments in the Middle East for many years. We used to deploy all the time. For instance, I did 2 rotations for about 3 months each at the Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia. Then I went back in command tours. I was a squadron commander at Dyess Air Force Base in Abilene, Texas. In a previous assignment, that's where both our boys were born, was in Abilene, Texas. And as a squadron commander, I deployed over to the Middle East, where I was a group commander, and I had squadrons that worked for me in Manas, in Kyrgyzstan, Kashikhanabad, Uzbekistan, Jacobabad, Pakistan, Masira Island, Oman, Sib, Oman, and Doha, Qatar. So all those units reported to me, and I ran all the C-130s that were flying in and supporting operations in Afghanistan. Then we transitioned to major combat operations in Iraq, and all the ones in Afghanistan we put under a different structure, and I had 3 squadrons of C-130s that focused on flying into Iraq in 2003 for the start of the conflict there. Then I went back in 2005 and 2006 and was the vice wing commander of a C-130 unit, predominantly supporting operations in Iraq. So lived over there that time for a year and flew pretty much everywhere in Iraq. And that was during the surge operations that essentially calmed down and beat the rebellion that was going on at that time. Then I came back and commanded a wing. I commanded all of our flying training operations for C-130s in the world at Little Rock Air Force Base. Then after that, I ran all flying training for the United States Air Force. And then I went to Germany, and we lived there for 2 years, which is where our youngest son, George, graduated from high school at Ramstein, Germany, and commanded our wing at Ramstein Air Base, Germany there. And we had 15 installations across Europe that fell under me, from the base at Chevreuse, Belgium, all the way to Morón, Spain. So it was a pretty big operation. Then we moved to Canada and lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where I was the Deputy Commanding General for all of continental air defense, defending North America, particularly Canada, from Russian bombers and missile threats. So, and then I retired from the Air Force in 2015, and we moved out here to Japan, to Okinawa, Japan, where I run the USO, United Service Organizations, and we're a private nonprofit that supports U.S. military service members and their families when they're stationed away from home overseas. So we help all the Americans that are stationed in Hawaii, Guam, Okinawa, mainland Japan, Korea, and conducted operations over the last 2 years in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia, and the Philippines. So that's kind of the oversight that I currently have. What we're doing right now, you may have heard about the carrier to Theodore Roosevelt that has the coronavirus outbreak on Guam, and they've had well over 600 people. Well, that's our number one priority right now, and we're the only organization that the military has allowed, and we're working with them on base to help take care of those people, providing them packages and kits with basic toiletries needs, snacks. We're feeding some of the military security and first responders that are helping take care of those folks, and providing Wi-Fi for about 1,000 of the most seriously ill patients that are scattered on Naval Base Guam, so that they can do what we're doing, so they can talk to their families while they're in the United States. That's kind of what I've done in a short rundown over the last lot longer than you've been alive. The 40 years.
So with your current, I'm taking over. Sorry.
Mhm.
With your current responsibilities, are you having to do most everything from home, or are you allowed to go out of? Are y'all under a stay-at-home order like we are?
Well, to some degree, yes. They are extensively locked down on the island. Mission essential personnel can travel to and from work only.
Okay.
So I'm splitting my time. I can go to work, and after we're done with this call, I will drive to my work on Futenma Marine Corps Air Station. But to get on base, I have to answer a detailed questionnaire. They take my temperature, and I'm allowed to go because I'm considered mission essential.
Okay.
And go to my office.
And I'll add this: we don't live on a military base now. We live
That's right.
off base on the Japanese economy.
That's right.
So
Okay.
we're in an apartment. So there are several military bases here on the island of Okinawa.
Yeah, 6 major ones.
So so I drive, to get groceries and everything. I go to a Japanese market several days a week, but to get American type groceries, I go on the air base, which is about, a 10-minute drive away. And I am allowed to do that, to drive onto the military base. But again, there are special measures. You have to wear a mask and have to keep the social distancing between other customers in the commissary and that sort of thing. So we are allowed to do stuff like that.
Yeah, mission essential stuff for health, for food, and that to get drugs if you needed them, like
Gas,
a pharmacy or something.
Cars and that sort of thing.
But some of my areas, Korea, which was the first major outbreak after China, we still operate in Korea, and some of those locations, our staff and families there have been under lockdown for well over 2 months now, going on 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
We can get them out the
Yeah, we'll do that here in a second.
Yeah, it's kind of cleared up a little bit.
So,
Yeah.
what else could you ask them? You've asked them those questions. Were
Yeah.
there any of them? The answers are on the next tab. If
Yeah.
you wanted to,
Just making
because
sure.
I know I want to be respectful of their time too.
Yeah. Okay. I've already asked about education on there, so you can ask about education. Yes.
If you want to, you can compare that.
Okay. Like what? Like
So,
how big of a difference is it like between American schools and Japanese schools?
Drastic.
Yeah, very big difference. And we don't have school age kids here, but several people that we know do.
Yes.
And some of them, if one of the parents is a Japanese parent married to an American, most of those kids actually go to Japanese schools, and that's how I knew so the answers that I gave you for specifically for education are from those people.
right.
Like particularly that 7th grade year being a very pivotal year for Japanese students. So those middle school years, like 5th, 6th, and 7th grades, they're preparing for those big exams that they take in the 7th grade. And those exams determine
Which
path you go. If you go toward, a college track, or if you go towards a trade school kind of track. So there's a lot of pressure on people your age, to perform well on those tests. Like your whole future is decided, in those early years. So yeah, they because of that, they're a lot stricter in those early education years.
So conformity as a society is very big in Japan.
Yeah.
America, if you could describe it, even going back to our Constitution, is based on individual rights and individual liberty. In Japan, their culture and society is much more community and group oriented. So all the kids, we watch them walk to school past our house. Within about 5 kilometers, over 3 miles, they don't do school buses, they walk.
They're in uniform.
And they're all dressed the same in uniforms. And cultural conformity and discipline are very good. For instance, they take school trips with their whole class. Several hundred kids, you'll see them at the airport, and they'll fly to mainland Japan for a summer school trip. All the kids are dressed the same.
Exactly.
They're sitting in the airport in perfectly neat rows and lines. Nobody's talking or acting up. and that's just not because the kids are better. It's just because of the cultural and societal norms for how they behave and the discipline. Jodye mentioned and she answered that question because she knew more about it, about the school-age kids. They don't have, in the younger grades, in the grades, they don't have custodians in their schools. Mm-hmm. The kids actually work as part of their day to scrub the toilets, sweep the halls, scrub the desk, and the kids are responsible for cleaning the school, and that's just part of the normal order of discipline of how they all work together in a community type
because of that
setting.
the school days are longer. They do have the kind of year-round school. So for example, coming up is called Golden Week, and it's when there are several different Japanese holidays stacked up one after the other. So they have, I don't know if it's 1 week or 2 weeks off. It's sort of like they're a big spring break vacation, a longer vacation coming up. So, but the school, they do go kind of year round, and we can see them walking to school on Saturdays, in their uniforms. Another thing I'll add that's really, really cute to see is their very small kids around the kindergarten, first age. They do have buses for some of those preschool ages, and they're buses that are very decorative. They look like a duck on the outside or something, and on the inside, the boys are sitting at the front in light blue shirts and little blue caps. The girls are sitting at the back in little pink shirts and little pink caps.
That's cool.
I mean, the point is it's very uniform, which is something you would never see really in the States. It's so like Kevin said, it's a big just cultural difference. And the other thing too, the workers in the community here, there's also a specific way that people dress when they're adults. If you go to Tokyo in particular, a lot of businessmen, they're wearing black suits, white shirts, black ties.
100% of them.
All of them.
No, all conformity. No real. You wouldn't find the person with the red Mickey Mouse tie on in a work environment.
And then the workmen around here are working on the roads or whatever. They have very specific outfits that they wear if they are construction workers, for example. It's a light blue thing, outfit with the wide pants, and they all wear the same type of helmet, so that's a lot. You see a lot more individuality in America and the States than you do in these Asian countries, particularly Japan.
Yeah. So the people are very polite, but very formal.
Yeah.
Some of that is Tokyo's the largest city in the world, but Japan is very mountainous, and there's not a lot of flat land to build things on. So all the people are congregated, in certain areas, like the Kanto Plain is where Tokyo is, and hence Tokyo's the largest city in the world. But because they're so compact together, they have grown customs where they don't shake hands. They bow. They wear, even without coronavirus, on any given day, a large majority of Japanese would wear masks anyway. And it's one of the ways that they compensate for having people so close together, yet maintained by that formality a little bit of personal space and distance.
That's interesting.
Yeah. The food in Japan is fantastic.
But way different.
So what do they do well? They have some of the world's best beef.
Rice, too.
Their rice is fantastic.
Off the charts. It's not like Uncle Ben.
Yeah, it's not like U.S. rice. Fish, of course, they're an island nation, and all kinds of fish. They also do here on Okinawa, their pork is great. We've lived all around the world, and the only place you can get bacon that is good as the United States is here on Okinawa. Yeah. Not in Canada, nowhere else.
Yeah.
So their food, they do a lot of things very well.
Yeah, it's just way different.
Yeah, just way different. They also eat a lot of things that are really odd. If it moves and swims in the ocean, they eat it.
Oh
Yep.
dear.
That's some weird stuff.
I recognize stuff underwater a lot more than I recognize it on the countertops in the Japanese stores. Yeah.
Yeah.
So way different. Bethany, are you on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look you up on Instagram. I've got a bunch of just pictures that might be useful.
Okay.
Yeah, on her Instagram site.
What's your name on Instagram, and I'll find you.
I knew you would ask me that. I think it's BB Allison 31.
You should be Jack's mom.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah, I got you. Oh, I'm already following you. Okay, good.
Yeah. So other things, the kids in school, sports are really big.
Yeah.
I
What-
have a guy that works for me. He's married to a Japanese wife, and he has kids about your age, and they play baseball
Year round. Mm-hmm.
because Okinawa is so warm.
Yeah.
Okinawa spring training just in Major League Baseball, in spring training, they go to where it's warm in either Florida or Arizona. In Japan, they come to Okinawa.
Yeah, Okinawa is kind of the Hawaii of Japan.
Hawaii or Florida,
Yeah.
yeah. So Okinawa is 1,000 miles from Tokyo.
Holy cow.
We actually live far closer to Taiwan,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Republic of China, the independent democratic one, not the communist. So we live very close to Taiwan. Okinawa and all the islands almost that string up almost to the mainland island used to be part of the Ryukyuan kingdom. For about 800 years, the Ryukyuan Islands were self-governed by kings. And there are actual old stone castles near us, the ruins of them, from the Ryukyuan kingdom, where they were self-governing. And Okinawa has a different language historically than mainland Japan.
It's closer to Chinese kind of
Some
ethnic
aspects,
background.
yes. But over the years, of course, everybody on Okinawa speaks Japanese, and only some of the older folks really speak the old Okinawan Ryukyuan language. So,
Do y'all, have y'all learned the language?
Oh dear.
hardly
Little
at
bit.
all. Very difficult.
We can-
To be polite.
Yeah, we can be polite. We can tell taxi drivers how to turn left and right and go straight.
And
that's,
get to the house and that kind of thing.
Simple
you know.
questions. Yeah.
Fix my legs.
So, but do you understand it at least? Like, can you understand it more listening to it, but you just can't speak it back? Or is it just hard both ways?
Stephanie, it is hard. And, when we lived in Germany, I studied German, and I know way more German than I do Japanese.
Right.
And it's just a very, very difficult language. Difficult both ways. For
Yeah.
them to learn English, they do better at English than we
Because
do
they study
with
it all
Japanese.
through school.
Yeah.
That's
I
wild.
learned French in Canada and took lessons every week, and I still know more French words than I do
After 4.5 years in
after
Okinawa.
Okinawa. Now, my job, I work almost exclusively supporting Americans
Okay.
around Asia Pacific. But yeah, all the written language is in kanji, symbols. And many of the symbols
Yeah.
in Okinawa are different than Japanese kanji because some of them revert to the old Okinawan symbols.
This is another thing for you, Jack, for the school kids. They learn thousands of characters that are a part of the Japanese alphabet, and some of them are letters, but some of them are like they symbolize pictures.
Thoughts,
For example, one symbol may be boy throwing a ball. It's
Wow.
not a specific like. They still have those, but sometimes they have little kanji. The kanji, are symbols for whole thinking.
Thoughts or actions.
Yeah.
So instead of just the alphabet, you have these extra things.
In
So-
mainland Japan, they learn over 5,000 characters and their meaning and how you string them together to give a conscious thought to what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild.
So we'll get people together. A friend of ours, a close Japanese friend of ours, was talking with an older Japanese man back a couple of months ago when we were together, and they were debating what this one kanji meant.
That's right. Yeah.
They were talking in Japanese back and forth, and we said, what are you talking about? You know, and they said, well, we're trying to determine what this kanji means. They were discussing what it meant because of how it looked. So that's another thing that Japanese school children have to learn. That thousands of
That's wild.
those kanji, you know.
Could you
So
imagine?
that's why
It's difficult.
No,
So a GPS on your phone when we're driving, it'll say turn left at silence because the road name is in. There's no pronunciation that the GPS can give you. So when we tell people how to get to our house, you give geographic references.
The
best example would be back home where Dad used to always tell me to turn by the Old Rock store.
Yes.
Which when I home, the Old Rock store had been torn down since I was a kid. But supposedly he thought I still remembered where it was.
That's so funny.
Coming here, we will tell people, come north, go past Kadena Air Base Marina. You go past the Green Roof Pachinko Parlor. You turn left just in front of the curry restaurant. You go straight until the road dead ends. Take a right, and then you'll go and see a sign for a business called Promo, a brown roof business, and take a left, and we're in the apartments overlooking the cliff.
Yeah, no street names really.
So it's raining right now, but this is the view.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
This is the Hija River,
That's cool.
And right at the river there, it's kind of hard to see because of the mist and fog, is the East China Sea. But we look down on this every day.
That's awesome.
Gorgeous. And this is a fishing marina where they actually go out and catch fish and sell at the local market that Jodye shops at.
And you can see, I'll take them over the side over here to show you what the kind of typical houses look like here. These are the rooftops of the houses. See, they're all concrete because we do get typhoons here.
Right.
You know, I won't take you too far, lose bandwidth. but anyway, so the houses are way different too, mainly because of the weather, because of the typhoons on the summer, you know.
Yeah, May through October.
You know, so it's like just like
hurricane season. Yeah.
Yeah, but alley. So all the houses here are made of concrete. The architecture here on Okinawa is probably not as beautiful as many other places in the world because they're built to withstand typhoons.
Right, which makes sense. They're there for durability, not for aesthetics. So,
since your social studies, but kind of like history, the river out in front of our house was the core boundary between two Army divisions to the south and two Marine divisions to the north. And 75 years ago, on 1 April, the invasion of Okinawa occurred headed straight at our house, with half the invasion to the left and half to the right. So we sit on a major historic point where, Operation Iceberg took place, where they landed 4 divisions coming straight at us right here.
Yeah, major battle. And what that battle is known for, I mean, it was rough in all the Pacific anyway, but the Okinawan people were already being subjugated by the Japanese and kind of enslaved by the Japanese. So then we came along and we're trying to take over the island. So we bombed it, before sending troops on. So it was really rough. It was really a rough battle here.
Yeah,
is the point.
And it was the only battle with the Japanese, other than in the Philippines, where we encountered a major civilian population that was kind of caught in between. So the Okinawan people suffered terribly during the World War II. And there are still many people here who were kids during the war. Okinawa has, on average, the highest life expectancy in the world.
Yeah.
Is that because they're what they eat and things like that, or I mean?
Partially, yes, that's exactly right.
I was telling you about the beautiful produce, like the prettiest carrots we've ever seen anywhere in the world. They're big, huge carrots that are grown in fields just right over here, So beautiful produce, but again, a lot of those vegetables, we have no idea what they are. I mean,
Do you eat them anyways?
some of them, yeah. Some of them, like a daikon root. It's a big long carrot-looking thing. It's white, and they dice it up. It's like a turnip. It's kind of like a turnip. And so that there's just some unusual things here that you wouldn't see anywhere, in Rome, Georgia.
That's cool. That's what a lot of people around here are, because of everything going on, are thinking about planting gardens and stuff like that they've not ever done before, So
lots of small local farmers here on the island.
Yeah.
It's a subtropical island, meaning we're in the northern hemisphere, but it's still warm enough year-round that we actually have some coffee plantations on the north end of the island.
That's cool.
We actually have some pineapple farms on the north end of the island.
I need to go visit.
And Okinawa is known for its beautiful coral reefs and the diving here. And Jodye is actually a scuba diving instructor.
Yeah.
And she works for Kadena Marina as a contract instructor. She has her own business, and she teaches people how to dive here on the island.
That's cool. Yeah. I showed Jack some of your pictures the other day when we were talking about you guys. So I was trying to kind of, because we don't get to see you guys a lot, so I was trying to get him up to speed on it, connected Uncle Charles and Granddaddy together, and did all that so he would know, okay, this is how I'm related. So that was
so. That was the first question because we haven't seen you just a whole lot. I couldn't remember. I was thinking 5th, 6th grade along in there. So So
Jack, one thing you need to know: this critical family information. Allison's your aunt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop.
Was extremely mean to me when we were children.
Well.
Totally not.
I need to tell you what your aunt used to do in the old house here where they live now. That used to be Jimmy and Estelle house. The old house next to that where Mama Hyde used to live.
Yeah.
There used to be a magnolia tree out there, and Allison tried to get me in trouble by throwing the little things that fall out of the tree and hitting cars as they drove.
I'm gonna have to tell her you told on her.
I did. I was not party to it, except she talked me into it. It was totally her bad behavior.
Can't believe it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
man.
gonna send you a few pictures of. This is the local Japanese market here.
Okay.
I do some. I'll send you a few pictures. Oh, and the Coke machines. I'll send you a picture of the Coke machines. Because they're just.
Coke machine, that's not exciting. Now, they're ubiquitous here. They're everywhere. You'll be driving along a road with no buildings around, and right on the side of the road will be a Coke machine.
Hundreds of them.
Everywhere. And people will stop in the middle of the street and pull over to the side, and you'll have to...
Every day.
And they'll buy their coffee on the way to work. The machines have hot and cold drinks.
That's so cool.
So you can get coffee in your Coca-Cola machine.
They're brilliant.
And the name of the brand name they sell their coffee under is Georgia.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So Georgia is a brand of canned coffee, and it's in a little aluminum can. And if it's a red button, you can buy it, and it'll come out of the machine hot. Or if it's a blue button, it'll come out like an iced coffee.
Is it good, the Georgia?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And the streets here, the cars are very small, and the streets are real narrow. The main street outside of where our apartment is, sometimes when cars are coming against each other, one has to pull over, particularly if people are walking, because there's not room for two cars to go by, and there's no middle line down the road. And to turn up to come to our apartment is a one-way road. So it's only wide enough for one car. So if you're coming in and you meet somebody has to back down into the street to get up into our apartment because things are so small and compact and everybody's so close here.
Right.
It's kind of
So, do families over there, are there large families, or are they?
It's a good question. So in Japan, they have a very low number of children per parents.
Okay.
Education's
Right. So very few. Their population is, relatively speaking, very old on average, and not enough young kids. And that's one of the societal problems they're having. So, for instance, it takes an average of 2.1 kids to keep the population level the same.
Right.
Here, they're way low, one of the lowest number of children per family. Now, having said that, this is a very social issue that your class on Okinawa. It's more of a laid-back island filled with a different culture. Okinawa is different than the rest of Japan in that they have a much higher number of children than mainland Japan, and the families here on Okinawa tend to be larger than other Japanese families.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So Jack, do you have any other questions?
I have a question unrelated to it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why, but like, okay, so it was about fishing. I was gonna ask what type of freshwater fish are there?
And can you go fishing there?
Not a lot of freshwater fishing.
But up this river that we're on right here, there are dozens, particularly this weekend, dozens of fishermen out there on the seawall fishing for various things, and those are mostly freshwater fish.
No saltwater, Jody. They're saltwater almost 100%.
But they're right here, and you can also spearfish. Like there are the Japanese people go underwater and with spears and can spearfish too.
So different than the States.
Yeah.
There is no fishing license required.
Yeah, you can just do whatever.
They're an island nation, and fishing is part of their culture. And if you want to go fishing, you go anywhere you want along the whole coast of the island. The island is about 70 miles long by 2 to 14 miles wide in a crooked pattern. So there aren't a lot of long freshwater rivers. Yeah. There are freshwater reservoirs that have freshwater fish in them, much like a bass or thing.
Mostly salt.
But almost all the fishing is saltwater fishing from around the shore.
Yep. So
I've got to run real quick, but
okay.
The call here real quick.
Yep. You got any?
Thank you.
And y'all, you're welcome to come out here whenever the travel bans are lifted. There are going to be some great airfare rates, I'm sure. So.
Hey, we can let y'all go so y'all can get to work, or you can get to work. I hate to hold y'all. We appreciate this so much.
Oh, it's great talking with you. It really is great to catch up and all. And so Jack, how's it going for you being at home? How long have you been home now?
4 weeks.